Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum. Straight talk about you and your money. Now from the BizTalk studios, here is Gary Kaltbaum.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It's June 14th. It's Friday. It's 2024. I'm on a plane tonight on Delta from Orlando to New York to my usual 92 and 90-year-old parents, Father's Day, and all that fun stuff. Delta is so good these days. I can't begin to tell you. If there's any air, they just got game. That's all I can say. Delta has game. I can't say that about others, though others are good. Hope you're going to have a good weekend for all the dads. Happy Father's Day. As always, serious talk on everything that affects you, and we pull no punches. We have no agenda, no ulterior motive, no bias. We lost all of that, all the love for all the Morlocks, based on everything they've done throughout the years, and I still am Mr. Logic. We are amazed at the illogical that is out there, and we just tell you like it is. That's all. But first, if you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our Twitter feed, which is now X, and if you don't follow us on X, you should. You want to email us, you just got to be nice. Pretty much 98 out of 100 of you are nice. One's nasty, one's like an in-between. We don't suffer any of the fools. And as you know, we'll do markets, the economy, your job, your industry, employment, debt, deficit, scams, shams, corruption, Israel. Talking about the illogical on what's going on Israel. And anything we think is important. And when we talk about things that may not be the market, everything gets intertwined, ladies and gentlemen, in case you do not know that. Everything gets intertwined. And I want to start off with something that just been front and center for a while, but I'm not so sure front and center enough. Boeing. And I'm not here to pick on anybody, but I'm here to state facts. And I must tell you, my thoughts have to do with Boeing must have great representation. Oh, I'm not talking attorneys, but I'm talking about with the media, with politicians. You know, all these actors and actresses have, media consultants. I think Boeing probably has the greatest media consultants on earth. And I say that because, well, first off, let's state for the record, there were a couple of tragedies 2019, and Boeing mishandled those. And I know there was some proceedings and outcome and this and that. Boeing trades on the New York Stock Exchange, in case you did not know. Boeing stock closed today at 177 and a quarter. The all-time high was 441.42, February of 19. So 5 and some odd years, and you are down about 60 some odd percent. It did hit a low during COVID time of $89. That was COVID time, though. After COVID, hit a low of 113 and has bounced up. I'm not accusing them of anything. I am reading to you the news, and all I can tell you is that every day, and by the way, we don't own any Boeing stock for obvious reasons. They're now being investigated for quality control issues with their 787, that hundreds of fasteners have been improperly installed, on the fuselages of some of the jets. There was another story out on Boeing that there was a 737 MAX out of service for 20 days after something called a Dutch roll. And it happened 3 weeks ago, and it wasn't reported. I believe it was a Southwest Airlines. And you can look up a Dutch roll, but I must tell you, it doesn't sound too good. And then there's something about the type of material, counterfeit titanium. But that's also Boeing and Airbus jets, they are saying. Okay. You know what Murphy's Law is? I'm just letting you know, it feels like, and I hope the people at Boeing don't get mad at me for saying this, but it feels like, based on everything I have read and continue to read, the media is not only going easy on them, but kind of sort of not even reporting on them. It's kind of like an aside, and the last I looked, they got a lot of planes in the air. And I am pretty darn sure their number one goal is our safety. I'm pretty darn sure about that. Because what's the alternative? But I'm also pretty darn sure there's some cracks. I don't think these things that keep coming out are happenstance. Let's just keep fingers crossed. Well, you know what I mean by that. I just had to bring it up because I read. And the first thing I read this morning was the titanium thing. And then the middle of the day, I'm hearing about a Dutch roll. And then I'm hearing all in the same day. I hope they get their act together. They really need to get their act together. And of course, there are whistleblowers too that say they have been negligent. I'm not saying they're not right or wrong. I'm just telling you facts. These are airplanes. What am I flying on tonight? I think maybe an A320. I'm not sure. Maybe a 737, not a MAX though. Not sure. Anyway, I just have to start with that because it just feels weird that there's not more really intensive. Has 60 Minutes done a story on them yet? I haven't seen it. I'll have to check. Because usually 60 Minutes, they're the ones. So we'll start with Boeing. Next I want to bring up, and then we'll get into markets. I find it utterly amazing. And when I tell you that in markets that the portfolio managers will meet with executives in the morning about what they own and what they don't own and how many they own and should they own more, and they're discussing what should be the outcomes, I got to tell you, it feels like that's the New Yorker that hates Israel, the New York Times that hates Israel. It feels like they're in meetings in the morning and saying, how can we piss all over Israel today? Let's have an outcome and then come up with a reason that we have the outcome. The New Yorker's doing a hit piece on 3 Democrats, progressives. They're doing a hit piece on 3 Democrats. They're actually going, tigers eating their young because they dare back Israel. And I'm thinking to myself, what happened to these people? That they would go after a democratic country, a land of peace, where Jews, Christians, Arabs, Muslims, gays, every gender, denomination, race, creed, color, play, live, work together. Where Israel hasn't been in Gaza for, about 17 years, but they keep saying they occupied it. Where they call it apartheid, even though the opposite of apartheid is Israel. Up next, we'll put a bow tie on that. We'll get into the week in review in the markets. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
Hi, I'm Gary Kaltbaum, host of the nationally syndicated radio show Investor's Edge. We're not just handsome radio people. We manage investors' money for a living, specializing in fee-based discretionary money management. No big commissions, just a fee on the assets that's managed. We also provide a full range of personalized services, including retirement planning, fixed income, and educational needs, all to assist you in achieving your financial goals. Understanding not all individuals have the same needs, we'll carefully evaluate your personal goals to determine a proper investment strategy. If your current approach to investing is not getting you to where you would like to be, call us to make an appointment for a complimentary portfolio review. The number to call is 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. Investment advisory services offered through Kaltbaum Capital Management.
It's time to switch on the integrator units and get the brain cells working.
You're listening to
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Investor's Edge
The last bastion of quality programming.
with Gary Kaltbaum.
It doesn't get better than this.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. And just so you know, I am not talking about the ass clowns. I'm not talking about the ass clown racist Jew haters. I'm not talking about these students that couldn't even tell you where Israel is on a map. I'm not even talking about the anti-Semite people running the colleges. These are people that have influence. They're writing. People are reading. Well, I take that back. The people that run colleges have influence. And they're just lying. And they're doing it in plain sight, and they're using that fact that Israel is defending their country against a bunch of people who have sworn to have 1,000 more October 7s. 1,000 more October 7s. Do you know how many missiles were lobbed into Israel yesterday? And they're expected to stand down? What city are you in right now? Think about the city you're in. And look 30 miles to the north, east, south, or west from you. Go 50 miles. And imagine from that point, people are lobbing missiles onto your city. What are you supposed to do? Stand down? Cease fire? Yet these people, the New York Magazine, every article from the New York Times now is how bad Israel is, nothing to do with Hamas did. Not one. Everything is an aside now on what Hamas did to Israel. Gary, what does that have to do with markets? These people are reporting on it. These people aren't reporting on Joe Biden's $2 trillion a year deficits. You're my guy. What we're trying to make a point is you all better do your homework. You better do your homework. You better do your work. Because you're getting snowballed. And they're doing it on everything. And we can sit here for 5 hours and name names and tell you what they said. The nonsense that's coming out of them. And of course, the favorite ones are ones that say, there wasn't any rape. That was artificial intelligence. Well, that's the tic-tac-toe of the business. You know what we've said about tic-tac-toe? You can never win, so you never play the game. You don't even debate those people. Screw them. But the New York Times? Really? Anyway, just had to bring that up because the New Yorker is now going after their own. They're going after Democrats because they back Israel. The horror. The horror. Which takes me to Biden. Where is he? There's videos of people on subways saying, who are Zionists here because we want to know because we'll get out. There's video of people walking down streets wearing yarmulkes and getting attacked by 10 others. Where's Joe Biden on this? The President of the United States? Oh, that's right. I got to go down the middle here because I don't want to lose Michigan. We'll keep reporting. And it has everything to do with the markets, your money, your job, the economy, because these are the people running the show. And I said yesterday at the end of the show, I wasn't being flippant. I wish I ran for president. The country needs some logic. I'm not so sure we're going to get them with the... Well, I'll stop there. All right. The Dow was down 58 today. It was down 110 with 2 minutes to go. The NASDAQ was up 21. It was down 2 with 2 minutes to go. The NASDAQ 100 was up 80 to what? The NASDAQ 100 was up 82 today with the NASDAQ advanced declines 1,100 up, 2,900 down. So let me give you the positives and let me give you the negatives. The negatives. The divergences in the market are getting wider and wider by the day. And what that means is, and narrower. A select few names and areas are holding up the market while other areas are going no place fast or going down. This whole week, a lot of it was that. Today you had Nvidia up another 260, which is $26. Microsoft $140. Broadcom 56, Costco 5, Netflix 16, NASDAQ 100. Dow was only down 58, but the Russell 2000 was down the equivalent of 600 Dow points. The advanced declines fell deeper into the abyss versus the market. Now, if you've been listening to this show, you know where we stand, and you've been paying attention and not losing your butt. How can the market be losing your butt when the S&P and the NASDAQ 100 are right at, in and around highs? Well, because the transports, the small caps, the mid caps, the economically sensitive names, a ton of the retail, the oils, the commodities, a bunch of foreign markets, the regional banks. Shall I continue? Today they got the cruise lines. They've been killing the airlines again. The hotels. Don't get me started on the dollar stores. Now more than ever, you better be targeting areas of the market. If you look at the equal weighting, ETFs versus the non-equal, what a difference. So let me give you possible outcomes. If the broad market worsens, they will eventually get everything else. If the broad market deepens, they'll eventually get everything else. If the broad market stops going down and tries to turn up and just stops going down, that would be good news. But with the Dow only down 58 and the S&P only down 2, the Russell 2000 had the equivalent of 600 Dow points, and advanced declines on New York with 12 up, 27 down, make that 28 down. And on the NASDAQ, 11 up, 29 down. Them dogs will not hunt. Up next, we'll stay on that. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
Listening to
America is talking.
Investor's Edge.
He's got to be pleased with that. The crowd is just on its feet here. He's a Cinderella boy.
With Gary Kaltbaum.
Comes highly recommended. You're going to feel better if you talk to him.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. By the way, this just came up. Anti-Israel activists just firebombed a building at University California, Berkeley. They proudly took credit for it on social media. Quote, every single building on the UC Berkeley campus deserves to be incinerated. UC system must divest from Israel or face our wrath of revenge. Here's what should happen to these people. You find them, you arrest them, you indict them, you try them. If found guilty, you stick them in jail for 2 to 5, and then they'll know the pain. Because you know what's going to end up happening one day? Somebody's going to be in one of those buildings and they're going to die. Somebody's going to be murdered. And then you just know what's going to happen? There's going to end up being vigilante justice against these anti-Israel criminals. And they're going to die. But the powers that be have their thumbs up their butt, picking their nose, and doing nothing about all this. And I am telling you, if it was any others it was being done to, they'd be up in arms. Let these people come to my house and send fire bombs. I have a Louisville Slugger. And you know what happens when a Louisville Slugger hits the kneecap? Man, I'm pissed. I haven't seen anything about arrests. I hear no words out of Biden. But they were talking about climate change today. Not protecting the citizenry. Climate change. That'll fix things up. In really bad news, my fantasy team on the U.S. Open golf, worst I've done in a long time. Hovland, gone. Fleetwood, gone. I'm terrible. Oh well. What can I tell you? They firebomb buildings. And nothing's going to happen to them. You know who the Hadid sisters are models? They complimented Hamas yesterday because one of the kidnappers made a birthday cake for one of the hostages. You think I'm making this up? Retweeted somebody applauding Hamas because they baked a cake for a hostage. No, really. No, really. No, really. It's not hard to be logical these days, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, you're dealing with a lot of illogic. And unfortunately, I didn't run for president. And we have to segue back on the market. So we just did a webcast in the 3 o'clock hour. We sent it out to our peeps. I'm doing some traveling, so got it done early. And basically, the webcast was on, look at all these areas and stocks that are not only not keeping up, but their own private bearish markets, bear markets. And we went through the transports and the oils. And by the way, why are the transports down when oil's coming down? Shouldn't it be the opposite? No, economics. The 10-year yield's down. Why are small caps down? Economics. We already had a 1.3% GDP. I am pretty darn sure this market may be snuffing out and flushing out that we are going to get some negative GDP numbers soon. Now, whether or not they get real bad, we'll know, because the Dow will be 3,000 points lower. We'll know. But this cannot continue. You cannot continue to have 12 up, 28 down on the New York, 11 up, 29 down on the NASDAQ, and things end up well when all is said and done. It will only be for so long that NVIDIA and Microsoft and Meta and these bigger caps will do the job before, under the weight of the weakness, they come in. Did not happen today and finished well. I think the Dow was down 300 early. Now, the worst areas are what we call near-term oversold. And all that means is they've had a rough few days and deserve to rest on the downside and bounce, down 5 up 1, down 4 up 2. But there are a lot of trends now that are not up. And I'd like to say it's good that the transports were down 400 and finished only down 161, but they were still down 161 and are in a bearish phase. As I said earlier, the other thing sticking out now are foreign markets are coming in also. And this is while Europe just lowered interest rates. I believe Canada lowered interest rates. And the market's not caring. And that gives us the wondering that the market has now looked past and at the economy. Because as the economy softens, demand softens. If demand softens, sales soften. If sales soften, profits soften. If profits soften, margins soften, and stocks soften. And we put it out to the many of you. Tell us what's happening in your neighborhood. Tell us what's happening in your business. Is there a restaurant you frequent and business is better, or is it worse? And we've been getting a lot of info. The main info we've been getting is the consumer spending less. That's the main info. And the consumer being what they tell us, 70% of the economy, if not more, therein lies what we may be seeing. If anything changes, we'll let you know. Markets are fluid. But at the close of the day today, the Dow could have been down 400. It wouldn't have mattered. Whoopie-doo that they bounced American Express a couple of bucks, some other things off the lows of the day. The broad market is plain old yuck. And you know it if you have one of those 100 stock diversified portfolios right now, as it is going down. We're very concentrated in the big cap tech right now, and are going to stay that way until something changes. We're open to any and all outcomes. But man, oh man, something up. And I repeat, we will know a lot more. If this continues about the economy. We're big believers. The market's got big eyes and big ears and a big mouth. We have bigger ears. We listen to the market, and we have the bigger eyes. We watch the market. Many more new yearly lows than new yearly highs on the NASDAQ, more than 3-1. More new yearly lows than new yearly highs on the New York. And the S&P, NASDAQ, and NASDAQ 100 are at highs. Wow. Not saying it's 99-ish. I'm saying it's heading to 99-ish. We'll keep you up. We'll keep you informed. We'll let you know. But the chasm is getting wider. Up next, whatever else we think of. Thanks for being here. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
You're listening to...
What are we waiting for?
Well, what are you waiting for?
1, 2, ready, go.
Action!
Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. Starbucks in Long Island vandalized with Hamas symbols and Intifada is here. Here's a young man at the University of Illinois, Chicago, at a sermon today. America is the cancer. America, secularism, democracy, capitalism are cancers. Islam is the answer. We're getting more and more of this crap, ladies and gentlemen. Stunning. I don't think these idiots recognize eventually there's going to be a pushback in the big way. Herndon, London, Jewish community. As they prepared for the Sabbath, a young Jewish man was attacked by a group of teenagers from a local school and struck with a bottle. A witness reported hearing one of the teenagers shout, "You effing Jew." Okie dokie. You all have a great weekend, right? Other things of note. Look how we got a segue again. And believe me, I don't. when you have a chance, if you have a chance, and if you can, so you can understand what I am watching at this moment in time with the markets. And to repeat from yesterday, in 1999, for example, the housing stocks went to 1 times earnings, as it was sell everything and buy the few. And the few got narrower and narrower as we got to near the highs on the climactic run. The advanced decline figure was dropping as the NASDAQ skyrocketed and the S&P did nothing. It was the NASDAQ at that time. All hell broke loose once they came after the strength. We're watching now. And the only reason we can report this to you is because this is exactly what's going on. There's a reason why we only own the mega cap. That is where the money continues to flow. They're now very stretched, extended to the upside, like these other areas are stretched, extended to the downside. What we'll be watching for and what we will be looking for is, again, climactic moves. And what is that? Think of the Space Needle in Seattle. Think of the Eiffel Tower in Paris. That's what you will see if you plot price on a chart. That is the end of moves. You saw it years ago in Tilray, marijuana stock. Excuse me. You saw it in GameStop on that first go-round. Climactic move. If there's any stock that does that, I would suggest it would be NVIDIA, because that is the number one name right now, and by far. I know I'm coughing. You'll have to put up with it. I don't have a dead button here. That is not a prediction. We just know how history and precedent has everything to do with the future. We'll continue to just play it day by day, stock by stock. But I must tell you, in no uncertain terms, I'm stunned. I am stunned that if you take out 100 stocks out of the market, and mostly tech, AI, and the like, them indices a lot lower. So I'm on notice, which means you're on notice. And our edge, and now your edge, ain't nobody paying attention to what we're paying attention to. I saw people on TV saying the market's in great shape, and I'm thinking, what market are they looking at? Oh, that's right, the indices that are over here. They ain't doing the work we're doing. If you own Norfolk Southern and Federal Express and J.B. Hunt and Old Dominion Freight, you're getting squashed. If you own Nucor and Steel Dynamics in steel, if you own Apache in the oils, you're getting crushed. If you own Cracker Barrel and Starbucks, you're getting blasted. And every day there's more and more. And again today, 11 up, 29 down on the NASDAQ, with the NASDAQ up and the NASDAQ 100 up 82 because of how weighted these indices are. We're going to have a great edge if this continues going forward, better than anybody else out there. Stay listening. We mean business. You all have a great weekend. If you're traveling, drive carefully. Don't forget, next Wednesday we're off, Juneteenth. And when you get home, do like we do. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. Make sure you hug your father. Have a great one, everybody. Thanks for putting up with us. The good news is most are not what I described. Peace out, all. Good night.
This has been Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum on BizTalk. To listen to past episodes or to get in contact with Gary, go to GaryK.com. That's GaryK.com.